Hi guys, welcome to Just Your Regular Mom. I'm so excited to have you all here with me. If you're here today, I want to believe you're either about to have your babies or a baby, or you have babies already and you're struggling to get them to sleep. I know, we all have been there. I've been there with my two kids, a boy and a girl, and to be honest, it gets to that point where you're just like, you do need some time to breathe in the evening, because fact is, with kids, they're like, they're like timers. They're used to body routines or whatever it is. You put them on, and that's literally how it's gonna continue to circle. I know people who love to have their kids awake, all through the night. They just stay awake and play with them till whenever they fall asleep, and yeah, it works for them. But again, whatever works for you. Okay, so basically, the methods we have used, or we used to train our two kids, is called Cry It Out. I know it sounds very daring. I know. When you think about Cry It Out, you're thinking, oh my god. But to be honest, I mean, crying would not kill a child, especially if you live around here with us, like where you have no one to help you, no one to take the kids aside from you and your husband or your partner. And if you both, or if one of you has got to go to work, then of course one person most likely would be looking after the kids or the children or the child all through the day. It's usually not that easy. I know, 100%. Speaking from experience. So basically, with our first daughter, where she was proper, like she was fully breastfed, and that's for 6 months exclusive. It was good, everything was fine, and we co-slept. For me, that was the best way to manage the night feeds, because I just love my sleep. But then again, I'm a tiny person, so that's a topic for another day. When it comes to co-sleeping, I would not really recommend it for everybody. If you know that you're the kind of person who literally sleeps like unlike that, no, you shouldn't co-sleep with your child. Maybe co-sleep with the bassinet next to you, but again, that's a topic for another time. So back to sleep training. I've also heard parents or moms especially get really emotional about sleep training your kids and say, oh no, at least they learn to sleep by themselves at a certain time in their life. That's how it's meant to be. Or why did you decide to have kids if you know you're not willing to sacrifice your timing or whatever they say? But I've also met parents who probably done it that way, which is give everything, to bringing up their kids, which is possibly not having good rest and all of that. And especially if you're down here where one person's salary is just not enough for the family, where both of you do need to work, and then the mom is the breastfeeder, obviously. I mean, even expressing takes time. I never liked expressing, honestly. I thought it was a time waster. You might as well just take it right from the jug. Yeah. So basically, the time you take to express as well, so it takes so much of you. If you're thinking, well, I want somebody else to do it. The only advantage is if you need to go somewhere, and I'll leave the baby behind, and yeah, that's the only thing. Now coming back to sleep training, so of course I've met parents who have become depressed or very, very sad or in a very low place because they had a child. It becomes so hard, especially when they become two and you feel, oh, I need to give everything to this child, which I'm not saying is wrong. That's exactly the way it should be. But think about your own well-being, your own health. If you become terminally ill or depressed, who wins here and who loses eventually? So yeah, if you're strong enough and your mental health works that way, your clock or your body timer works like that, fantastic. Stay awake through the night and sleep together with the baby in the daytime. If it works out for your family, go for it. But for people like us, I'm not good at sleeping in the day, regardless of the situation. I struggle with that. So if I don't sleep at night, then what do I do? So now coming down to the sleep training process we've used for our kids. All that long talk or intros is just because I've seen a lot of things online where people go, oh, no, it's just cruel to sleep train your child. Up here, you would find some links and explanations from, medical professionals or medical bodies or or companies like Pampers that have actually done experiments on sleep training children to tell you that eventually there's nothing wrong with that, and a baby crying is not, you're not being wicked or mean, or you're not harming your child. Yeah, you're not. There's proofs of that, 100%. So yeah, back to sleep training again. So with our daughter, when she turned 6 months, on the dot, I literally moved her to her own room. Yeah. The cot had always been there in her room. She was co-sleeping with me, as I said earlier. So I just moved her to her room. Yeah, and it wasn't easy the first night. I literally stood outside. I stood outside and I was so sad. Yeah. First night we just let her cry. Like, I put her down. The only thing is you need to make sure that they are dry. You're sure there's no the diapers are not wet or cold. Also make sure they are well fed. That's one major trick for me, feeding the babies. The moment they turn 6 months and they go on solid, I feed them well. I give them good food, like solid meals that kind of fill the tummy, especially going to bed. But again, with my daughter, in which a lot of people don't do it that way, but for me, what I done was I gave timers. So like every 3 hours I went in to give her a bottle, because obviously we were co-sleeping, which meant that she was literally latched on, sucking all night long. So I mean, I understood the transition would be different, so you're not having to feed all through. Of course, it's not like when you're co-sleeping, because you're doing, of course they break, they sleep, but when they wake up it's literally there and they just go for it, right? So so then I put a timer to start with. I started off with 3 hours. Every 3 hours I go and give her a bottle. Every 3 hours I go and give her a bottle. First night she kind of cried a lot when I went back to give her a bottle. She had the bottle, but she didn't want to go down. She wanted me to hold her, but I just put her back in and I pat her, baby, you need to go to sleep and everything. And then I left, but I didn't go far, just at the door. So that night, to be fair, I didn't get any proper sleep. Same with the next day. So basically at usually 5-6 a.m. I would go take her, or I did go take her the first night, and then we co-slept again through the morning. The next day I did the same. First day she actually cried, I would say, for almost 15 minutes. This was close to the 3 hours mark anyway. I think she just woke up and just realized she was by herself. So I went to give her a bottle and put her down. The next day it was a lot easier. Once I put her down, she didn't cry that much. I think it was about 5 minutes cry, and then she was quiet again. And I waited and waited and I didn't hear nothing. But I had my alarm clock for every 3 hours. And by the third day I'd moved it to 4 hours. And by the way, when I just put her down, she went without a fight. She just fell asleep. But by 7 she was awake. And then I would go take her, and the next thing, if we laid down together on my bed and co-slept or co-sleep, she would actually sleep again for another 2-3 hours. So I would tell you 100% we both were well rested. She was actually sleeping much better when she was sleeping by herself, because when she was with me, I think the fact that she just felt I was there, she would wake up every now and then and just scrabble, go for the milk, and still stay awake sometimes and want to play, and I'm not able to sleep because she's just there crying and trying to get my attention. And also, the discomfort really for the both of us. And again, she didn't even like to sleep because I had a bassinet next to me from the onset. Before we started co-sleeping, she didn't like it. So yeah, basically moving her to her own room, to a bigger bed, really worked magic. And that process of now joining me in bed now carried on until she was 1. But there's another funny part to that. When she actually turned 7 months thereabouts, she started sleeping at 5 p.m. Literally 5 p.m. at night, my daughter was gone. Yeah, she was sleeping. It didn't matter what we were doing, where we were. I mean, parties, we would be at parties. My friends would tell you, 5 p.m. like an alarm on her body, and she just goes to bed. She goes down straight at 5 p.m. On her birthday, she fell asleep in her Ibro and Buba. you know yeah, she was down. She went to sleep and we were busy taking photos. She was still mad at everybody for trying to keep her awake. That changed after a while, but then that's another story for another day. And then with my son, the same. We did cry it out as well. I would also then talk about his own transition from sleeping with us in our room to moving into his own room. His own story is a completely different ball game, but I would leave that for another episode of Just Your Regular Mom. Thank you so much for joining me. Thank you so much. Ring that bell, subscribe, share, comment, ask me questions. Tell me whatever you want me to talk about next, anything you'd like to know. I would add a few, or I've added a few links as well as like references for you to just digest so you don't feel too scared to try it, to try cry it out. It's been helpful. It's 7 p.m. now. Yeah, and they're down. They know it's bedtime. So when you say it's bedtime, they know it's bedtime. Without a fight, they have a good meal and they go to bed. All right, thank you so much. I hope to see you guys here very soon. Say goodbye.